And here's the latest statement coming from Union IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, where he says that he was denied access to his Twitter account for almost an hour. The minister says, "Friends, something highly peculiar happened today. Twitter denied access to my account for almost an hour on the alleged ground that there was a violation of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of the USA, and subsequently they allowed me to access the account. Twitter's action, according to the minister, were in gross violation of Rule 4.8 of the Information Technology Rules 2021, where they failed to provide any prior notice before denying access to my account." Ayushman joining me with more inputs on this. So Ayushman, clearly this is going to, of course, draw a lot of interest and perhaps a lot of criticism as well for the way Twitter has apparently decided to block the union minister now for almost an hour. To what extent has the minister now recorded and reacted to this situation? Because he says in his statement that this is extremely peculiar on the part of Twitter to do so.
Yes, in fact, it's a rare of rare thing that we see on Twitter that has happened. And Union IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has been very vocal for telling Twitter that they need to follow the law of the land and the IT acts need to be followed by them. Today, he alleged that for the violation of Digital Millennium Copyright Act of the United States of America, the access to Ravi Shankar Prasad Twitter handle was logged for over an hour, and after an hour, his access was allowed. And if you go through the timeline of Ravi Shankar Prasad, nothing of that sort has been tweeted. In fact, he has retweeted the Prime Minister's photo with the Kashmir leaders. So, what was the violation that took place from his handle, and why abruptly did Twitter do this? That is something that Twitter will have to explain. We have also written to Twitter for getting a version of the company on this, but this definitely is, in a way, is not going to go well with the ministry as well as IT minister, because Twitter has blocked the Union IT minister's account over violation of a US law at a time when the government wants them to follow the Indian law.
Yes, and therefore the minister calls this high-handedness. Prior to this also, of course, the minister has been time and again reminding Twitter that they will have to operate within the rules of the law of the land. At this point, I hear also that, as per the inputs coming in, Ayushman, that the minister has said that Twitter's action indicate that they are no harbinger of free speech that they claim to be, but they're only interested in running their own agenda. So clearly the center versus Twitter war has taken a new dimension now with this fresh input of the minister's account being blocked.
Yes, of course, and he has clearly said that Twitter actions indicate that they are not harbinger of free speech. At the same time, he also has indicated that no matter what the platform does, they will have to abide by the new IT rules fully. There will be no compromise on that. And if you see, Twitter of late has been silent, and rather they haven't been telling the details of the officers who have been appointed, and the ministry has made it sure that you need to tell which officer has been appointed so that the laws are properly followed. Now, this is something which has gone down well with the government. They have served the notice. In fact, the center has also withdrawn the legal shield that has been given to Twitter in India. So all is not well definitely between the government and the Twitter, and it seems by this action, the lines between government and Twitter are definitely going to be busy for a longer period of time.
Yes, Ayushman, and this might in fact also be interpreted as some sort of a personal attack, a vendetta sort of a thing, with the minister's account being blocked, citing a rule, of course. But what rule is that? I mean, the minister obviously has been vocal against Twitter, and in quick succession, if this kind of a blockade happens, then surely it is going to be looked at as Twitter acting against the minister on purpose and just citing the rule for the sake of it.
Yes, in fact, this is a high-handedness that you can say, and quoting a U.S. law and locking the IT minister's account in India is something that is one of its kind, because you don't normally see that. Normally, what we see is the government approaching the Twitter, and then the Twitter intimates people that these are the rules that you seem to have violated, and that's why you need to withdraw your tweet or you need to delete your tweet. But here the Twitter has quoted a US law under which Ravi Shankar Prasad's Twitter handle was not given access for over an hour, and this is something which is beyond understanding as to why a US law for a Twitter account that is being operated in India is being done. So this is again a point where you see that government's own focus of implementing a law in order to see how Twitter operates in India again gains the momentum, and this is what the government has been saying for quite a long time, and this will further give them another, maybe you can say it will give them another chance to say that Twitter is not properly following the rules, and that's why they need to abide by the new IT laws.
Yes, Ritesh Bhatia, cybersecurity expert, is also joining us now on the phone line. Good afternoon, Ritesh Bhatia. This has become a major slugfest now, Ritesh, in the sense that, who follows whose rules. Now you have Twitter slapping a rule on the Union IT Minister, saying that he had infringed upon certain rules owing to which his account was blocked. How do you look at this development, and do you see this as Twitter being caught on the wrong foot? Because only for an hour and then he was released again. The account was released.
Yeah, absolutely, Afrida. If you remember last time also, when I was talking to you on the show only, we were talking about, it's becoming like a bitter battle between the IT minister and between the government of India and Twitter. I don't know why are they so upset if we as the Indian government over here is demanding certain things from them, which the other guys have done, the other tech giants have kind of obliged. So I really don't know why this, Twitter is again and again pressing the wrong foot of everybody in India. Now, what happens about this Digital Millennium Copyright Act and something like this, they have suspended his account. And that too, they have mentioned that there have been repeated violations. I mean, when you're dealing with the IT minister, when you're dealing with the government of India, I personally think when the first thing that had happened, they should have brought it to the notice at that point of time. You are just suddenly saying that, okay, there have been multiple violations. What do you mean by multiple violations? So even we would want to know, so that probably even we don't repeat it. In case of Mr. Prasad has done something like that, it's pretty unlikely that he would have done something like that, which could have been, a Digital Millennium Copyright Act violation, Afrida.
Yes, absolutely. Therefore, the minister says that this act of blocking him is also a violation of IT rules in India, since he was not given any prior notice. So now, of course, like you said, this is only going to get worse from here on after reports of the IT minister's account being blocked by Twitter for an hour has surfaced. Thanks for joining us, Ritesh Bhatia and Ayushman, for giving us the details.